Hello and welcome to episode 18 of the Avonlea Knits podcast. My name is Martha and I'm here to talk about all things like knitting and crafting. So I was going to get back on my schedule last week with podcasting every 2 weeks, but we've had a rocky last few weeks at school, and I also decided to wait until the Fibre Festival that was in my town, the Muskoka Fibre Festival, and so I wanted to wait so I could show you what I got at the Fibre Festival. So that's what I'm going to start with. I last week had seen Pine and Pearl post that she was knitting with her very colorful, very demure colorway, and I think it was just on her stories, and I was like, oh, I think I want to make the Palm Springs tank top with that because I have 2 skeins. And so I've looked at the pattern. I hadn't bought the pattern, but I had looked at the pattern and I knew that I didn't have enough yardage. This is what it looks like. And I think it would look stunning in this colorway because there's so many colors. You could wear it with anything like leggings, black skirt. I have lots of black bottoms, so I figured this is what I could make with it, and I just needed a 3rd skein. So I went and got a 3rd skein yesterday. So now I have enough to knit the tank top. So I will be starting to wind up my yarn probably this afternoon and get knitting with it. It will be like my summer knitting project, and that I'll take to my knitting group. But yeah, I'm super excited to see how this knits up. They are different like dye lots, but also there's sort of no, she told me the way she dyed it yesterday, and they're all different. So I will have to alternate skeins so that I don't get any color pooling, but just so that it's also not obvious that I'm knitting with 3 different skeins. It is a superwash, it's a cashmere sock, so it's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. It is super soft. Pine and Pearl is the one who dyed the yarn for my Lover's Lane shawl that I designed. She dyed the Anne, Diana, and Gilbert colorways, and I love what she does. So that was what I got. I really just went for the 1 skein, and that was all. But I had met up with a friend there. Like, I just ended up finding or seeing a friend. We walked around together. She got what she wanted. I got what I wanted. And then we said goodbye. And I turned around to go to my car, and I saw a friend's kid there. So I went and said hi, and they were crocheting, teaching their friend how to crochet, and they needed stitch markers. So we went back in to get stitch markers. I got these from Dragon Strings, and they're in a cute little container that says maybe these will help. And they are these curly swirled stitch markers. So because they have a hole in the middle, you can easily stick it on your needle to like mark the beginning of a round, but they're not closed. So you can easily just hook it onto a stitch to mark the right side of your knitting. So I love that. I've never tried these, but I saw these at Christmas. Somebody in our knitting group got a package of these stitch markers, and so I've wanted to try them. So there's just 10 in this little box, and it's super cute. I think it's a good amount to try because like you don't need 100 stitch markers. So I'm gonna try these. I'm pretty dedicated to the little light bulb safety pin stitch markers. And then I could not get a carrot. My immediate thought when I see carrots are Anne of Green Gables. And actually, just right here, this is half of a piece of green felt that I sewed a little channel on at the top, put a dowel through, and I've hung it. And it has all my Anne of Green Gables pins. So like years ago, my brother gave me this set of little button pins that have pictures of Anne or Anne and Gilbert. And then last summer I went to the Lucy Maud Montgomery Museum in Bala, and I got a pin of Anne reading. It's like a silhouette of Anne and she's reading a book. And then I also have the very famous, actually I have it here, this is super faded, but this famous picture in a little pin as well. So when I saw the carrot pin, I decided to get it, and I'm just gonna put it there with all my Anne things because it just makes me think of when Gilbert pulls Anne's orange braid and yells carrots. So I got that. I actually really want carrot stitch topper or needle stoppers or stitch stoppers. They're like the little rubberized, almost bead-like silicone things that go on the end of your needles, but I haven't found any yet. So the pin was a good like compromise. And it just reminds me so much of Anne. And I like to keep my pins. I love pins. I'm not like a huge pin person, but I like to keep my pins on a piece of felt that's hanging up and displayed, so I never have to worry about losing them. They're not on a bag that they're gonna get like accidentally knocked off. So I'm going to put this onto there later today, and I've got my stitch markers. So that was it. Not a huge haul from the Fibre Festival. Just what I wanted. I did remember later in the day that I have an idea for another pattern for my 4 Seasons collection, and I did not look for any yarn for that. So I might have one in my stash that I was going to use for something else that I might use for that instead, but I don't know. I haven't quite decided yet. The other thing that I got, it's like behind me here, was from Peggy May Yarns. It arrived this week. So Peggy May Yarns did the whole Anne of Green Gables collection in yarn form with the books. So we got a copy of each of the books with a skein of yarn dyed, inspired by that particular cover that she had chosen. This time she's doing a character collection. So a few weeks ago, she did one based off of Anne. What arrived was Marilla's, and what's coming is Matthew's. So this is Marilla's. The lighting is not great today because it's kind of overcast and really hot. But when I pulled this out of the box, I said, this is from the scene and the outfit that Marilla wears when she takes Anne to go apologize to Mrs. Rachel Lynde, when Anne called Mrs. Rachel Lynde some very bad words when they were first introduced. And Marilla says you can't go visiting in kitchen clothes, because she gets all dressed up and Anne is like, oh, Marilla, you're so beautiful. And Marilla's like, well, you can't go calling in kitchen clothes. And so she's wearing this beautiful pale green outfit. So this has got like this beautiful pale green in it. It's also got like some brownish purplish color, which kind of reminds me of Marilla's hair. But when I posted my video on Instagram this week of unboxing this, Peggy May Yarns commented and said that's exactly like, that is the image of Marilla that this color is inspired by. I also get the one that comes with a gift. So this was the little gift. With Anne, it was a beautiful Anne of Green Gables tote bag, and this is the gift with Marilla. It's just a Green Gables Prince Edward Island zippered pouch. It's got like a little boxed bottom. It's just been like, because it was mailed flat. And yeah, I think this would be a super great notions pouch, or a super cute little project bag for like socks or some type of little accessory, hat, socks, like just something really small, or all your notions. So I'm super excited to have this. I can't wait to see what the Matthew one looks like. I have to go back and look at the picture of Anne that she posted for the Anne one, because I think it's like inspired by the movie characters from the 1985 Sullivan Entertainment version of Anne of Green Gables with Megan Follows, Colleen Dewhurst, and Richard Farnsworth. So that was what came in the mail. This is like my one little splurge, my little treat to myself. And really, there could be worse things. I do have some ideas of projects. There's this cardigan that I want to make, and I think it's fingering held double and takes like a ton of yarn. So I have been thinking maybe of doing that with the book set or this character set. But I'm just kind of waiting. It's just kind of in the stash. Who knows, like it could be used for design down the line. But I do have a full line of yarn from Mid Knit Cravings. It's their Anne of Green, their Kindred Spirits collection, that I have a whole collection of patterns in the head waiting to write. So I will eventually have like a collection of Anne patterns with using Anne inspired yarn. So those were the new things that came, and I'm going to show you what I've been working on. And I have to get up at some point to go get the shawl that I just released the other day. But let's start with what I've been working on. This is the little like fanny pack. So instead of granny squares, I've knit squares, and I sewed them together the other day. And this one I did 2 pink squares. They're solid pink on the back, or the front, whatever side you want to use. I did a striped square, and then this side I did a stockinette square, and I'm going to duplicate stitch a letter on here, because I'm going to gift this, and I'm gonna just stitch their initial on the front. And what dropped was my zipper, but I got a fat quarter, and I've watched some videos on how to make linings. So once the summer comes and I've knit some more squares, I'm gonna do like a whole bunch of linings together, because I'm going to make 2 more bags. So I'm just knitting the squares. I have another stockinette square and another striped square ready to go. I'm just knitting 2 beige panel or squares now, and I'm doing a different stitch pattern. This is seed stitch. And then I'm going to knit with some purple, and I was thinking for the purple one, because the whole like branding of Avonlea Knits is purple, which is my favorite color, I'm thinking of duplicate stitching an AK on it for Avonlea Knits for mine. But I've got the straps, I've got the zippers, I've watched some videos. I think I know how I'm gonna make the linings. And then I'm just gonna hand stitch the lining in once I sew the lining and the zipper together and make it like the same shape as this. I'm just gonna stitch it in. This is all really experimental. If it works, then I will like write up the pattern. It's gonna be a little more complicated because I'm going to have to put pictures of like every step of construction and lining. You don't need to line this, I don't think, because it's knit and not crocheted. Like granny squares have holes in them, right? So you have to line it, but this, it's a thick fabric. Nothing's going to fall out of here. So you could essentially just stitch a zipper to the top. The only thing is for this, like with granny squares, they usually sew the granny squares together and then crochet along the top a few rows. But there's no way to do that with knitting. So yeah, I'm just gonna sew the lining in and like see what happens. It's purely experimental, and I like, obviously I think it's going to work. But yeah, this is how I've been experimenting with this. And this all came about because my friend and I were talking. She's more of a crocheter than a knitter, and I'm much more of a knitter than a crocheter. But I was like, they don't have these bags with knit squares. But you can easily knit squares and sew them together, just like you can crochet granny squares and sew them together. So that was like the plan last year, and I didn't even get to it. So now I have gotten to it, and yeah, that's what I'm working on. And I'm very pleased with how this has turned out. It's just like the finishing piece of it. And I kind of want to do them all together. Like, I just want to get my sewing machine out once, sew the zippers on, sew the linings, and then hand stitch them in. So I'm just kind of waiting to do that all in one go. And I'm going to do the same with this one. I have to take the lining out of this and like take out the construction, like, because we lined the whole thing. So I have to rip this all out, and then I've decided I'm going to have to stitch this back up and this little channel for the clip, and then stitch this up, same on the other side, sew the lining, and then I'll just stitch in the lining to this so that it's not the lining connected to the piece of fabric. But that is also a big job. And again, I'm just waiting until I sew all the linings for the bags together, and then I will, you know, hand stitch the linings into the bags. So that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm not really in a rush. These are pretty mindless squares, so it just kind of depends on what I want to work on. But I'm very pleased with how that is turning out. And I don't think I'd gotten super far on this last time. This design idea came about a few weeks ago, and I literally, I was just supporting a friend because something happened. I couldn't do anything. And this design idea came through, and literally, like, I came home from work and got ready for the next day, had some dinner, and then went stash diving to find this because I knew I had some pale pink. I knew I wanted pale pink color, and I knew the stitch pattern I wanted, and so I have started with cute little hearts. It did take a little bit of figuring out. So lace patterns often start and finish on the end with half of the heart or flower or whatever the pattern is. I did not want that. It was very clear, like this pattern came through so clear that it was 2 rows of hearts. They alternate or are like offset. I don't know what like the proper term, but they're alternating, they're offset, but there was no half heart on the side. So it took a little bit of figuring out to try and figure out how to get it without the half heart on the side. But once I figured it out, it was pretty easy. Like I had like 3 different heart patterns that I had found online. 2 of them had charts, 1 of them was fully written out, and they were all virtually the same pattern. The written instructions were the same. It was literally just trying to figure out like how to get the heart not starting in the middle. And so I ended up starting with the 2nd row of hearts And then figuring out from that, once I got the first row of hearts that didn't have a half heart on the side, I was able to figure out where to start the next heart. And so that is that. So now that that's written, this is just pretty easy, but I cannot stand these needles and this yarn. This yarn is a wool silk blend, and on my Mindful Collection metal needles, they are slipping and sliding so much. I can't stand it at all. It's actually really hard to knit. So I ordered the Addy unicorn needles, and they, where are they here? The Addy unicorn needles look like this. It's kind of hard to tell because the texture is subtle, but they're like the twirl of a unicorn horn. So I've ordered these. They are coming, but they are super nice on your hands, but they also help grip the stitches better. I also love the Addy Rocket Squared. So that's a square needle with little bumps of texture, which also hold the stitches. I think I'm knitting, oh yes, I'm knitting the squares with the Rocket Squared. So you can see, it's super hard to see. You can see that it's a square and it's got little bumps on it. Again, these hold the stitches so well, and they're super nice to knit with. And you know, these are tools. They're not like, eventually I might get the unicorn. I would love, Addy, if you watch this, I would love the interchangeable set. But I got the 32-inch cord. I'm knitting on a 24-inch right now because it's not going to grow. But I decided, since I was investing in a fixed needle, it's very rare that I use 24-inch, so I got the 32-inch so that I can use it for bigger shawls. But yeah, I'm waiting kind of for the other needles to arrive before I keep going, just because it's so slippery. Like I just lost like 2 stitches while I was talking. Then I had to put back on because it's so slick. I think it's from the silk. But I'm loving working with this, and I think when I block it, it's gonna turn out so soft. So so that's coming in the mail. And it's nothing against my Mindful Collection needles. I love those needles. And actually yesterday when I was walking around the Fibre Festival with my friend, they were asking me if I use bamboo needles or if I like bamboo needles. And I said, I really like a wooden needle. And my first interchangeable set was a wooden set. But I said, I knit so much. I have knit the tops of like all of those needles. And I can't really knit. There's a few sizes that like I hardly ever touch, but I'm like, my most used needles, I can't knit with them anymore because I've knit, like they wear down, the wooden needles. And I think I had 1 or 2 where the laminate, like they were laminated different colors. They're the Knit Picks needles, and the like lamination started to peel, and so it kept getting caught on my yarn. So I had to invest in metal needles. I love the Mindful Collection because you got like good amount of needle sizes and cords, swiveled cords, fixed cords, came with stitch markers, a needle gauge, like everything that you could need. Cord stoppers, so that when you take the needle off the cord, if you're just holding stitches, like everything that you need was in that kit. Totally worth the money. Love it. It's just there are some yarns with some needles that are so slippery. So this will be my 3rd set of Addy unicorn needles. I love them. I also have a fixed needle that was Addy that I got when I was in Germany. So the whole package is German. I don't even know. It's got like a transparent red cable. It's also textured. Love it. Just was not the size that I needed, or else I would have used that. But yeah, love these. And really, you can have lots of different tools that you love from different brands, because yes, they all do the same thing. Some fit with better yarns than others. Like, this is not a happy marriage right now of needles and yarn. And so that's fine. I've got something else coming that I think will be much better and make my knitting more comfortable. And while I have this out, let's look at my Mrs. Potts inspired shawl. It is getting way too big to like show, but it's a semicircle, and I'm in the midst of this textured section, so it's very easy to knit. There's 261 stitches on the needles right now, and so I'm doing about 1,000 stitches every 4 rows, and it's a 4-row repeat, and I have to do it like 30 some odd times. Now, I don't know, I feel like this ball of yarn is magical, because I feel like I haven't knit too many rows with it, but it feels like it has not gone down hardly at all. So I will see how far I get with this before I have to bind off and like I get to the end of the ball. I might be able to do like 1 more row of flowers at the end of this textured section, but I have no idea. I've literally never made a semicircle shawl like this before. I might have once actually, but I'm just, now that the pattern is like written, it's just a matter of knitting it and like seeing where it takes me. I know how I'm going to bind it off, but it's just a matter of like seeing how far I can get in this section, whether I finish and then start a new section before I have to bind off, but we'll see. But it's coming along. I got 8 rows done yesterday. It just feels like it takes a really long time when you're just, it's like you're knitting, purling, and then you're knitting and doing something else on the next row. So it feels like it takes a long time, whereas when you're doing the lace flowers, because you're like, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 3, knit 2 together, yarn over, like it kind of skips along really nicely. But when you're just doing a textured stitch and you're just alternating between 2 stitches, it takes a long time. But it's pretty mindless, and I'm just excited to like get back to it. I just have options. So that's that. I also, the other day I was at the grocery store, I saw this tin of cookies, and I have a Quality Street tin for all my buttons, but I thought for like the randomness of my cross stitching stuff, that this little tin would be super cute. It was like $6, and there was cookies in it. They're just in the freezer. I decided to I think I'm getting the classroom fish for the summer. So I had to take the tin off the counter. I just put the cookies in my other cookie tin, washed this so I can use it. I have like lots of needles, a little bit of extra embroidery floss from other kits. And right now they're just in like Ziploc baggies. But I'm gonna put them in this. Like, I love using tin. Like, this is your classic, like, I've got the grandma's button tin, because I have like Quality Street tin full of buttons. So this is going to be my cross stitch tin. It's quite a good like depth. This actually might be a better tin for my buttons, but anyway. So if you're ever like on the lookout for some storage, buy a tin of cookies from the grocery store, literally like $6 Canadian. You get some cookies, but you get a really cute tin. And this has like 2 different pictures on it. One is like a little winter scene, and then the other looks like a bit of like a midsummer scene. Anyway, this is really great storage and very like vintage grandma inspired. So I will get to organize some of my cross stitch stuff this summer in that. And I've been waiting for this. I've been wanting this for a long time. I have to go back in my photos. I screenshotted this. I think the grocery girls talked about it. This is the Knitting Pattern Writing Handbook. How to write great patterns that knitters will love. So I got this. This kind of, I have not had a chance to look at it. That is my goal this summer. But it's kind of like, or looks like, the Bible for designing and writing knitting patterns. The back says, translate your knitting designs into well-written patterns every time with the guidance of expert technical editors Christina McGrath and Sarah Walworth. You'll learn how to set a style and format for all essential components, achieve accurate gauge, build and use charts, ensure thoughtful and inclusive sizing, avoid common sweater pitfalls, and select and work with a tech editor. I think this is going to be so great. There is so much in this table of contents, and oh, there's so much in this little book. I actually thought it was going to be bigger, but I've literally just started designing with nothing. Last spring and summer, I did a design course with Pip and Pin, which was very helpful. And at the moment, I've just done accessories, so gauge hasn't been super important. And I don't use a tech editor. I don't always test knit my patterns. Getting your patterns tech edited is expensive, so that is something in the future that I will do. Maybe when I make more money, but I'm really excited to like delve into this book and learn some things, because I have just started from scratch, from nothing, like, and I'm sort of becoming a pattern writer with no background in writing patterns. So I'm really excited to read this. I ordered it from my favorite bookstore, Masters Bookstore in Halliburton. So if you are over that way, it's a Christian bookstore, but they have so many other books, and Kathy, the lady that owns it, ordered this for me. I've grown up going to that bookstore because that's where my cottage is. And so I decided, instead of supporting Amazon, to support my favorite local bookstore to get this. So I'm super excited. Also, my parents paid for it and they watched this, so thank you. Because they went and picked it up on their way. But I'm like super stoked. I have a really hard time reading and using charts, so I think that is going to be interesting. I don't put charts in my patterns because I can't stand that. And I've never done, like, there's a whole thing on here on garments. I have never designed a garment. I think it's very overwhelming, but maybe that will be something that comes down the pipeline. I haven't knit enough garments for myself to be able to design them. And that's not, the design ideas that come to me are not garments. They are all accessories and shawls. So I'm super stoked about this. The other thing, I think I just have like 2 more things. I keep getting ads on Instagram for this Ravelry crafting and gaming pillow. So it's a similar shape to a nursing pillow, and it goes around your waist, and it's a place to rest your arms, wrists, and hands, so you're not like having to hold them up. And so I keep getting ads for it. I'm like, what the heck? So I texted my friend last night, and she has kids, and she also is a knitter, or has knit before. And I sent a picture of the pillow, and I said, do you think a nursing pillow would do the same thing? Because I'm not prepared to spend like $150, which is probably American $150, which means it would be like over 200 Canadian on this pillow, when a nursing pillow is a very similar shape that would probably do the same thing and would be like a dupe. So I can always take this back if it doesn't work out. And if it does work out, I can get a cover for it, because this is not my style. But I decided to try it. My arm and shoulder, like I have a permanent shoulder injury, so my shoulder was really aching last night from holding my knitting. I'm going to try a nursing pillow and see what it does. But really, you're just sitting down with it up here, and it's somewhere to rest your arms. So I'm going to see if this works. No, this is not the vibe. But if it works, I'll just get a cover for it. If it doesn't work, I can take it back. But I just thought, instead of buying a pillow, yes, that's specifically made for gaming and crafting, that's super expensive, when I can get something similar for less than half the price. So I'm going to try this and see what happens, if it's really good, if it works. If it does, yes, I'm getting a different cover for this. But I think it might help my shoulders and my wrist a lot. My shoulder was like aching last night, but I'm also knitting a shawl that's got 255 stitches on it. So I will try that and report back. And then the last thing I have to go get is my new pattern that I designed. So this pattern is the Looking for Loons shawlette. This is the second installment in my Four Seasons Muskoka collection. The first was the Spring Buds shawl, and this is now the second one. I went for a one skein project in fingering weight, super light. The yarn is Shell Ridge Yarns, and the colorway is called Looking for Loons. So I was inspired by the colorway, and then my stitch pattern, I did little eyelets and then rows of garter stitch in amongst some stockinette to represent the little white dots and the white lines that are on loons. So this is just something super easy to memorize. It's a really easy, light pattern for summer, and it is the perfect thing to just throw over your shoulders, wrap around your neck when you are at the lake, going on a boat ride. And it is available now on Ravelry, Lovecrafts, and my website, Avonlea Knits. And the pattern is only $2 Canadian. So that is this cute little pattern. It turned out so good. I did a little picot edge on the end, and yeah, it's just super light. You can also just like throw it over your shoulders and just have it hanging. So that was what I made and designed, I think, back in the winter. And the Four Seasons collection, the patterns come out on the first day of each season. So we have the Spring Buds shawl, which came out on the first day of spring. And now we have the Looking for Loons shawlette that came out on the first day of summer, which was Friday. I had meant to talk about this when I thought I was podcasting last week, and then I changed my mind. So that's why I'm talking about it now. And then I will have a pattern for fall and for winter, and they will come out on the first day of fall and the first day of winter. And that will be the little Four Seasons Muskoka collection. And yeah, I think that is it. So if you would like, if you have that one skein that you're not really sure what to do with, this would be perfect. And it's super light, easy for summer to take with you, easy to memorize. It's not super big. It's really light, grows really nicely, has a nice asymmetrical shape. And yeah, I'm actually super pleased with how this one turned out. And I think that is everything. I'm going to go clean up the mess that is around me and then